if someone calls my office, I'm going to take their call. I'll give them whatever time I have available. For example, I'm out in San Diego. We're doing some trial prep for a case we have with a gunny sergeant coming up in 2 days at MCRD. A father called my office fairly early this morning, my time, and wanted help with his son's case. I knew initially it wasn't a case we were going to take on because he was already convicted. Now, I could have just refused the phone call, but I took the phone call, got enough information to know what was going on. I let him know right up front, that's not a case that we take on, but I straight told him, you do need an attorney. You need an attorney based on the information you provide to me. And I gave him a handful of people who are very good at what they do, people that I trust. And I said, hey, call this individual up. Let them know you talk with me. That's going to get through a lot of the gatekeeping, because as lawyers, as you know, with really a lot of individuals, we have gatekeepers, right? So let them know you spoke with me. I referred you over to them. We don't do referral fees. I'm not taking a piece of the action, but then they can get the help they do need. And oftentimes, if maybe a young Marine will call me up on an NJP, I'm probably not going to take an NJP from an E2, but I will almost always, unless I'm in trial or something else, talk to that Marine and say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do. You don't need to spend $10,000 having me do it, but just listen very carefully and let me tell you what you need to do to succeed. It's usually pretty straightforward coming from us, and it may be enlightening to them. These are the 4 things you need to do. Grab a pen, write them down, and if that doesn't work, I can almost always refer them over to the Defense Service Office or one of the attorneys over there. And I've even done handoffs where I've called the DSO, I talked to a captain I have a relationship with or know from work, call him up and say, hey, I just talked to a Lance Corporal. I'm not going to take this case on, but he needs some help. Can he come over and see you? And I do that. It's almost weekly. And so definitely not repelling people, but if you need help, call us. If I can't take on your case, I can probably get you to a person that can. I've been doing this nearly 20 years. I've got a lot of contacts in this field. People in this industry come and go all the time. And so those of us that have stood the test of time and have been around for 15, 20, 30 years, I can refer you over to them, and usually just saying, hey, I talked to Tim Bilecki, he referred me over to you. It's going to get you a consultation with them. It's going to make sure it puts you in a much better position. As I tell this to Ben, the associate attorney in my office, and I take the same stance on, if you call my office and you speak with me, I want to ensure at a minimum you leave in a better position than when you called. If I've done that, I've done my job. And if you leave that phone call with more knowledge, a bit of education, or even feeling a little bit better about your scenario because you're down in the dumps and I can pick you up a little bit, if that's happened, I've done my job. And that's really my measure of success on a consultation call.